The fictional nature of the concept of Helicobacter pylori reinfection. Regarding the probabilistic dominance of false negatives in eradication testing and the distortion of pathophysiological interpretation by backdoor doctors who have abandoned logical thinking. Abstract. The adult reinfection rate of H. pylori in modern Japan is reported to be 0.2 to 2% annually, but it is highly suspected that this figure is overestimated due to the inclusion of reappearance phenomena lacking genomic analysis. In this paper, in addition to the mathematical reality that the false negative rate of eradication judgments consistently exceeds the reinfection rate, we demonstrate the impossibility of the concept of reinfection from pathophysiological and microbial ecological perspectives. Furthermore, we strongly urge backdoor doctors, that is, doctors who have abandoned logical thinking, who ignore these obvious logical doubts and carelessly propagate the reinfection theory, to reconsider their interpretations. 1. Doubts regarding prior probability. The fiction of a 0.2% reinfection rate. The commonly cited statistic of a 0.2% adult reinfection rate has a fatal logical flaw. Lack of genomic analysis. True reinfection is only established by proving that the genomes of the bacteria strains before eradication and after reappearance are different. However, many statistics simply count testing positive again as reinfection, and the reality is that this includes a large number of relapses of the same strain that were missed during the assessment. Absence of evidence for chronicity. There are almost no solid case reports proving that a new H. pylori infection in an adult progressed to chronicity rather than remaining temporary acute gastritis. In other words, there is a high possibility that even the 0.2% prior probability is an inflated figure in reality due to missed false negatives. 2. Proof of explanatory dominance using a mathematical model. We show that the explanation power of false negatives remains dominant even if we daringly adopt the questionable reinfection rate. Eradication failure rate. Prior probability, 10%. False negative rate of the assessment test, 5%. Annual reinfection rate in adults, 0.2%, adopted as a maximum value suspected of an overestimate. Scenario A. Relapse due to false negatives, proliferation of latent bacteria. Scenario B. True reinfection, new infection from the outside. Statistically, interpreting the reappearance of bacteria as a false negative is approximately 3 times easier to explain than interpreting it as a reinfection. The attitude of ignoring this figure and making reinfection the first choice explanation demonstrates a lack of probabilistic thinking. 3. Historical and ecological contradictions, colonization barriers and competition. Principle of first infection in adults. As Dr. Barry Marshall's self-ingestion experiment shows, a primary infection in an adult inevitably causes severe acute gastritis. An asymptomatic reappearance fundamentally refutes the hypothesis of an external invasion. The desert of intestinal metaplasia. Mucosa with advanced atrophy and intestinal metaplasia rejects the engraftment of H. pylori. The probability of new bacteria, reinfecting strains, colonizing this harsh environment is as close to 0 as possible. Competition with oral bacteria. Under low-acid environments, such as from taking PPIs, oral bacteria colonize the stomach. Due to resource competition with the prior occupants, the colonization of newcomer H. pylori is physically prevented. The detected bacteria can be nothing more than remnants that had adaptively hidden in refuges, reservoirs, deep within the tissues. 4. The abandonment of logical thinking by backdoor doctors. The following intellectual dishonesty can be seen in backdoor doctors who obstinately insist on reinfection in clinical settings, necessitating reconsideration. Ignoring conditional probability. The logical omission that even if external factors such as well water exist, it does not prove that no bacteria remained in the stomach. Bait and switch of definitions. The attitude of spreading the fallacy that low acid makes it easier to be reinfected while concealing the biological truth that it is precisely because of low acid that reinfection is prevented due to competition with assorted bacteria. 5. Conclusion. The concept of reinfection is a fiction that obscures statistical, pathophysiological, and ecological contradictions with the vague figure of reinfection rate. Unless a different strain is proven by genomic analysis, the reappearance of bacteria after an eradication judgment should primarily be suspected as a backdoor doctor-like assessment error, false negative. The fact that antibody titers have not decreased by 50% or more after 1 year makes that suspicion unshakable.